So when I went to Marshall, and I was actually a transfer student, so I started off my college career at a community college in upstate New York, and I came to Marshall as a transfer student. But when I came to Marshall, I majored in broadcast journalism. Oh my goodness, where do I start? So after I graduated from Marshall, I actually worked at a local news station here, WCHS in Charleston, West Virginia. And then from there, I went to Nashville, Tennessee, worked there for 6 years at WZTV. During my time in news, social media kind of exploded. I graduated in 2014, and news sites were just starting to come online and have a digital presence and start to care about, their digital brand and social media. So in the beginning, I was used to using social media for myself. So I kind of went into this newsroom, and there were people that hadn't quite adapted to it yet. So I think once, everyone kind of got on board with social media and realized what a powerful tool it was, it definitely helped my career just take off from there. I mean, I started as a social media lead, so I actually did trainings for anchors, reporters on how to use social media. So positive effects, I think I always think back to this one story, and it was when I was at WCHS, and we kind of did a year in review on digital and social media. And I feel like the perception really is, if it bleeds, it leads. And that was the same on social media. People are like, oh, you're only, sharing bad news, sharing bad things, and that's what people want to read. That's what they want to click on. But when you actually look at the data at the end of every year that I had worked there, the data showed that people want good news stories. They react more with good news stories. They commented more with good news stories. So I do think that there's a lot of potential for social media to have a positive change. Of course, some of the negative aspects of social media are, for lack of better terms, trolls who just who just get on and troll the page and don't really read the story or understand, or just are inappropriate or unprofessional coming on the page, because it's an open forum, right?
Yeah.
And we all believe in free speech. So but with that comes some of the bad comments. So I think more for like the on-air talent, for anchors and reporters, they kind of had to get rid of some of the noise, right? Because they're there to be journalists. They're telling real life stories. So I was in local news for 8 years before, and I was on the precipice of, do I go to a national news outlet, or do I try to break out of the industry and see what I can do? And I think something that's really important to point out is your degree in broadcast journalism and any experience you get in the TV world, it just works so well in other industries. People know if you're coming from TV news or, online journalism, that you are deadline oriented, that you're detail oriented. So I think it's just really important to point out that you get a lot of skills from a broadcast journalism major or a print journalism major, and then also the experience that you can get in the newsroom. So coming into the chamber, I had a very different view of maybe how things could go. That my day to day was so busy. We had to post on Facebook every half an hour. We had to tweet every 10 minutes. So it was very all the time, just glued in, nailed in. At the chamber, it's really busy, but in a different way. So part of my job there is event planning, and we just came off the Women's Leadership Summit, and it's the biggest one to date. And with that comes, booking sponsorships for the event, booking speakers. Not only do you want, a speaker who is going to inspire people, but you want to make sure that the content is what people want to hear, and you want to make sure that it's interactive. And then also there's a marketing aspect to it, because you want to get people to come. Now for the Women's Leadership Summit, we also provide scholarships to our high school students and for college students across the state. So that's another aspect to it. Event planning, I didn't know that I would like it so much, but I really do like it. Before in news, I would feel like my everyday, I kind of knew the plan of every day, and it had this routine to it. Even though it was different news stories, it was still the same structure, right?
Yes.
For the chamber, it's like that, but it's like a year at a time. So I know that we have the Women's Leadership Summit in early spring, and then environmental in late spring, and then we have the annual meeting and business summit the weekend before Labor Day, and then we have our big board retreat meeting in December. So it's just kind of very flowing and, rotating. Oh yeah, I think one of the things with TV is that being a digital manager, I was pretty much stuck to my computer most days. Now I did get to go and cover the CMA Red Carpet Awards, and I covered the Daytona 500 and went to Florida, and I would do that, and I really lived for those moments when I could get out of the office.
Yes.
And now it's kind of the opposite, where I'm out of the office a lot. I'm going to events, planning events, being out in the field, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. But I also enjoy having days in the office where you can be there and get things done. And I will say, something that has changed in the past couple of years is having a hybrid schedule. So like today, I'm actually working from home, and I live in Huntington and I work in Charleston. So to have work from home days for me and to be able to take meetings in Huntington, that's really important. And I think that it's helped the overall experience that I've had. Ooh, good question. Me personally, networking at events, I try to, look at the event. I try to figure out who's going, who's interested. Honestly, I take a big look at the sponsors, because I want to know who are the big companies who are sponsoring this event, and what is the mission of the event, and, how can we somehow align with that? And then of course, there's little things like you always want to have business cards. You always, want to make sure, that your name tag is on the left, even though I continuously put it on the right, but it's supposed to be on the left.
Okay, now I know that.
So yeah, good to know. A good handshake, eye contact, just having a positive attitude. I pretty much have a positive attitude a lot, but that doesn't mean, if I do get into a serious conversation with someone, just kind of having the knowledge and background to be able to, talk about the real issues, because those are important too. And as far as how, networking impacts, I feel like my whole job is networking. The whole job right now is all about relationships. And by building those relationships, you can build really a better West Virginia, because people are helping people. West Virginians are reaching out to West Virginians. You're creating, local and statewide pipelines for things. So I think it really just has a synergy to it. Yeah. I'll go first with entering the news field. I would say, it is a grind. You don't enter news to make a lot of money right off the bat, or to only work 40 hours a week. So you really have to be passionate about it, but the truth is important. So I think I really encourage young journalists to take a chance and try it out. And the skills that you can learn in news, you can really put into a lot of other industries. Now, for the chamber, my biggest piece of advice is just, one, never burn bridges. You always want to keep good contacts with everyone. Have a good system. When you meet someone at an event, save their business card, maybe write on the back of the business card where you met them, a thing or two about what you talked about, and keep, a Rolodex, even those are a thing of the past, but a digital Rolodex. Even the notes in your phone, when you save their contact information, put in the notes where you met them, what you talked about, so you can always go back to them. So really just keeping open to networking. And really, the more events you attend, the more people that you're going to meet. And it's one thing, meeting people at an event and having, a really good interaction. But I think that a follow-up email or a thank you card, that really goes a long way, and people are going to remember that.